My therapist asked me to calculate something. Emily, how many hours per week do you spend with other people? Not your boyfriend. Other people, I counted. Work, Zooms, maybe 6 hours. Grocery store small talk, 30 minutes. 7 hours total. Out of 168 hours in a week, I spent 7 hours with other human beings. She asked, "Do you have friends?" And I realized I couldn't remember the last time someone who wasn't paid to talk to me actually wanted to. That session happened 4 months ago, and it took me 3 more months to understand how I got there. How I went from a woman with a full life to someone who existed in a 168-hour week with only 7 hours of human connection. If you've ever counted your social interactions and felt your stomach drop. If you've ever realized you can't remember the last time you saw a friend. If you've ever wondered when your life got so small. Follow this channel, because what I'm about to tell you might save you years of disappearing. My name is Emily. I'm 31 years old. And I'm about to tell you how I spent 4 years slowly erasing myself to make room for someone who never noticed I was gone. This isn't a story about dramatic abuse. There was no yelling, no controlling behavior you could point to, no obvious red flags. This is about something quieter, more insidious. This is about how I became so good at accommodating someone else's comfort that I forgot I was allowed to take up space. How I'll check with him became my automatic response. How my friends stopped inviting me because I'd said no so many times. How my family learned not to expect me at holidays. And how I sat in a therapist's office at 30 years old and realized I had 7 hours of human connection per week. 7. The rest I spent waiting for him to come home, for him to be in a good mood, for him to decide what our life would look like. This is how he disappeared. And this is how I came back. Let me start at the beginning. Before the therapy session. Before I knew something was wrong. Back when I thought being accommodating was the same as being loving. My phone buzzed. Group chat with my old work friends, the ones I used to get drinks with every Friday. Jess. Ladies' night Thursday, that new wine bar in Nolita. Maya. I'm in. Rachel. Yes. Haven't seen you guys in forever. I stared at the screen. Typed. Sounds fun. Deleted it. Typed. I'll try to make it. Deleted it. Put the phone face down on the counter. It had been like this for how long now? Long enough that the invitations were getting less frequent. Long enough that I could feel myself becoming optional. Long enough that haven't seen you in forever was starting to sound less like enthusiasm and more like observation. And I'd figure out how to explain it to Ethan later. That sentence, I'd been saying it to myself for 3 years. Never out loud, just internally. Constant negotiation with someone who wasn't even in the room. The thing is, he never said I couldn't go. That would have been easier, actually. Then I could point to it. Then I'd have something concrete. Instead, it was subtler. A look, a silence. You're going out tonight? Said in a tone that made out sound like I'd suggested skydiving without a parachute. There had been a moment, I think it was year 2, where I still fought back. Where I still said, yes, I'm going, and meant it. My best friend from high school, Tara, was visiting from Portland. First time in New York in 5 years. She'd planned the whole weekend around seeing me. Friday night, Ethan had a headache. Saturday, he wasn't feeling social. Sunday brunch. Babe, we've been so busy. Can't we just have one quiet day together? I canceled on Tara. All 3 days. She texted me after she got back to Portland. Hey, is everything okay? You seemed off. I never responded. What would I say? Sorry, my boyfriend's emotional weather determined my entire weekend, and I chose his comfort over our 15-year friendship. That was 3 years ago. Tara and I haven't spoken since. I told myself it was mutual, that friendships fade. That's normal. But late at night when Ethan was asleep and I was staring at the ceiling, which happened a lot lately, the not sleeping thing, I'd think about that weekend, and I'd feel something cold in my chest. Not quite regret. More like erasure. Like I'd taken a Sharpie to that part of myself and just blacked it out. Our apartment in Greenpoint, the one we picked, though really he picked and I agreed, was beautiful in that minimalist, male-coded way. Lots of black and gray. Clean lines. No clutter, which apparently meant no pictures of my family, no candles I liked, no throw pillows. It's cleaner this way, he'd said when I suggested hanging up the photos from my mom's 60th birthday. So they stayed in a box, under the bed, with the other parts of me that didn't fit his aesthetic. I worked from home 3 days a week. Ethan worked in finance, left at 7 a.m., home by 8 p.m. Those 11 hours should have been mine. Time to see people. Make plans. Exist. But even when he wasn't there, he was there. In my head. Anticipating his reaction to things I hadn't even done yet. If I make lunch plans, will he be upset I'm not home when he gets back? If I call my sister, will he get annoyed that I'm on the phone when he walks in? If I sign up for that pottery class I've been wanting to take, will he make that face, the one that's not quite disapproval but feels like it? So I didn't make plans. Call my sister, unless he was in the shower. Sign up for the pottery class. I just waited for him to come home, for him to be in a good mood, for him to decide what our evening would look like. And slowly, without noticing exactly when, I'd become someone who existed only in relation to him. Tuesday afternoon, I was in a Zoom meeting, quarterly review with my team. My boss, Sandra, was wrapping up. Oh, before we go, we're doing happy hour Friday at the Richardson. Claire's last day before she moves to LA. Emily, you'll be there, right? Everyone on the screen was nodding, chatting, excited. I hesitated. That hesitation may be half a second, but Sandra caught it. You good? Yeah. I'll check my calendar and let you know. Check your calendar? It's Friday at 6. What else would you? She stopped herself. Smiled that smile. The one that's polite but has a question behind it. Okay, let me know. The meeting ended. I sat there staring at my blank screen. What else would I be doing? Nothing. I had nothing. No plans. No conflict. Just the automatic I need to check response that had become my default. I picked up my phone, opened the calendar. Friday, 6 p.m., empty, but I could already feel it, that tightness in my chest. The mental calculation. Ethan usually gets home around 8. If I go to a happy hour at 6, I might not be home when he arrives. And if I'm not home, he'll text. Where are you? Not accusatory. Never accusatory. Just enough to make me feel like I should be home. I put the phone down. Didn't respond to Sandra. My mom called that night. I was making dinner pasta because Ethan liked pasta and it was easy and I was tired. Honey, we're planning Thanksgiving. You and Ethan are coming, right? Thanksgiving was 6 weeks away. I need to check with Ethan. Check with him? Sweetheart, it's Thanksgiving. It's family. Oh no, Mom. He might have work stuff, or his parents might want us there. Silence on the other end. The kind of silence that has words behind it. Emily, you missed Easter and the 4th of July and your cousin's baby shower. I know I've been busy or something else. My throat tightened. What's that supposed to mean? Another pause. Nothing. Just, we miss you, honey. It feels like we never see you anymore. We, she said. We, her and Dad and my brother. But I heard the real subject. You. We never see you anymore because I'd become a we too. Me and Ethan, a unit. And that unit didn't show up to things. After we hung up, I stood at the stove, stirring pasta that didn't need stirring. And thought about something my therapist had asked me 6 months ago, back when I was still going to therapy. Before Ethan mentioned it was getting expensive and I'd agreed to stop. She'd asked, Emily, When was the last time you made a decision without considering Ethan's reaction first? I hadn't answered then. I still couldn't. Friday came. Sandra's happy hour. 5:47 p.m. I was dressed, makeup on, bag in hand, ready to walk out the door. 5:48 p.m. My phone buzzed. Ethan. Leaving work early. Home by 6:30. Want to order from that Thai place? I stared at the text. He was coming home early. He wanted to have dinner together. That was nice, right? That was boyfriend behavior. Quality time. So why did I feel like I'd just been handed an excuse I didn't ask for? I texted Sandra. Sorry, something came up. Have fun. Put my bag down. Washed off the makeup. By the time Ethan got home at 6:45, not 6:30. Never, when he said. I was in sweatpants on the couch, scrolling through Instagram, watching people I used to know have lives I used to have. Hey, babe. He kissed the top of my head. You look cozy. Good day? Yeah. Fine. Cool. I'm starving. You order yet? No, I was waiting for you. Perfect. You're the best. And he meant it. He genuinely thought I was the best for waiting, for being home, for being available. What he didn't know, what I'd only just started to let myself think, was that I'd canceled plans. I was excited about to sit on this couch and wait for him to be 15 minutes late. At least the couch was comfortable. It should be. I spent most of my life on it now. I met Ethan when I was 27, living in a railroad apartment in Bushwick with 2 roommates, Stephanie and Chloe. The place was chaos. Always someone's friends over, impromptu wine nights, stolen clothes, loud laughter at 2 a.m. that got us noise complaints we ignored. I loved it. I was a junior marketing manager then, just starting to hit my stride. Had work friends I actually hung out with, weekend plans that didn't need 3 weeks' notice. I'd go to shows in Williamsburg, try new restaurants in the East Village, take the train to Brooklyn Bridge Park just because it was sunny. I had this thing I did, yes, Tuesdays. Every Tuesday I'd say yes to the first interesting thing someone proposed. Trivia night? Yes. Midnight bodega run? Yes. Karaoke in Conatone? God, yes. My life felt full. Not perfect. I was broke. My job was stressful. I had drama with a situationship that wasn't going anywhere. But I existed. Loudly, visibly, I took up space without asking permission. Ethan was a friend of a friend. Met him at a birthday party in some warehouse venue in Bushwick, you know the type. String lights and craft beer and people pretending the concrete floors were industrial chic. He was different from guys I usually dated. Quieter, more serious, wore button-downs to casual events. Worked in finance, which should have been a red flag, but I told myself not to stereotype. When everyone else was drunk, dancing to Bad Bunny, he was sitting at a table, nursing one beer, scrolling through his phone. I sat down next to him. Not a dancer. He looked up, smiled, a real smile, warm, and said, "Not when I'm sober." We talked for 2 hours. About work, about the city, about how we both thought warehouse parties were trying too hard, but we came anyway. He was thoughtful. Asked follow-up questions. Remembered details. Wait, you said you're from Boston originally? Do you get back much? Stuff like that. At the end of the night, he asked for my number. Texted me the next day. Had a great time talking to you. Would love to do it again, somewhere quieter. First date, a wine bar in the West Village. He'd made a reservation. Pulled out my chair. Asked about my day and actually listened to the answer. Second date. Cooking dinner at his place. 1 bedroom in Murray Hill. Clean, organized, smelled like the right candles. He made risotto from scratch. I like cooking for people, he said. It's how I show I care. I thought I'd found a grown-up. After years of guys who couldn't plan past tomorrow, here was someone with his shit together. Someone stable. Someone who seemed to actually see me. What I didn't realize was that stable would eventually mean static, and seeing me would become monitoring me. But that came later. Micro red flags. I rationalized my roommates wanted to meet him. I was excited that introducing boyfriend to friend's milestone. We planned dinner at this Thai place in the East Village. Casual. Fun. The morning of, Ethan texted, "Hey, can we do dinner just us instead? I've had a rough week. Not really in the mood for group energy." I hesitated. The girls were excited. Reservations were made, but he'd had a rough week. That was valid, right? I texted the group, "Guys, I'm so sorry. Ethan's not feeling great. Can we reschedule?" Stephanie. Again, this is like the third time. Was it? I counted. Yeah, it was. But I defended him. He's just introverted. He needs to recharge. We rescheduled. Then he canceled that one too. Eventually, they stopped asking. I'd gotten invited to a former coworker's birthday, like 30 people, rooftop bar in Williamsburg. I was getting ready, excited. Hadn't been out in a while. Ethan was on the couch. Another party? Yeah, Amanda's birthday. Remember I mentioned it last week? You go to so many things. I laughed. I mean, not really. More than me. He said it casually, like an observation. But there was something underneath. I just don't get the appeal, all that small talk. Pretending you're interested in people you barely know. They're not people I barely know. Amanda and I worked together for 2 years, but you haven't worked with her in, 6 months? And you're still going to her birthday? I felt defensive. Yeah, that's what friends do. He shrugged. I guess I'm just more selective. Selective, he made it sound like a virtue. Like my friendships were quantity over quality. Like I was somehow less evolved. I went to the party, had fun. But the whole time there was this voice in my head, his voice asking, "Do you even actually like these people?" My parents were coming to the city, first time in a year. They wanted to take us to dinner. Me and Ethan, meet the parents style. I was nervous but excited. Ethan, "Babe, I don't think I can do dinner." What? Why? It's just meeting parents. It's a lot. We've only been together 7 months. 7 months is not that short. I just don't want to rush into that family thing. It feels like pressure. Pressure. Meeting my parents was pressure. I should have been angry. Should have said they're visiting for 1 weekend and dinner is 2 hours. Instead, I said, "Okay, I'll tell them you have work stuff." He kissed my forehead. "You're so understanding. That's what I love about you." Understanding. I was starting to learn that understanding meant accommodating, meant shrinking my expectations until they fit inside his comfort zone. I was texting with Maya, making plans for brunch. Ethan looked over my shoulder. "You see Maya like every week?" "Yeah, she's one of my best friends. But why do you need to see her so much? Isn't texting enough?" I stared at him. Texting isn't the same as seeing someone in person. I don't get that. Like, I have friends. I don't need to see them constantly. You don't see them at all. He looked offended. That's not true. I see David sometimes. David was his college roommate. They'd gotten dinner twice in the past year. Ethan, that's not the same. I like spending time with my friends. It makes me happy. But you have me now. Isn't that enough? There it was. The question that sounded romantic but felt like a trap. You're my boyfriend. They're my friends. It's different. I just think when you're in a serious relationship, you don't need as much external validation. That's what he called my friendships. Like they were a symptom of insecurity. Like needing people besides him meant I was somehow broken. I didn't know how to argue with that without sounding defensive. So I didn't. I just started seeing Maya a little less and told myself it was because I was busy. Year 2, the moment everything changed. Stephanie and Chloe were moving out. Leases ending. Stephanie was moving in with her boyfriend. Chloe was relocating to Austin for work. I needed a new place. Rent in Brooklyn was insane. I was apartment hunting, stressed, drowning in Zillow. Ethan, move in with me. What? My lease is up in 2 months. We could get a place together, bigger. Split the rent. It made sense. Logistically, financially, we'd been together almost 2 years. Moving in felt like the next step. But there was this small voice, so small I almost didn't hear it, that said, "You'll be alone with him all the time, just you two." I silenced it. "We found a place in Greenpoint, 2-bedroom, one for us, one for your office," he'd said. Except the second bedroom became his gym. My office was the dining table. Within 3 months of moving in, something shifted. I stopped getting invited to things. Or maybe I stopped accepting invitations so consistently that people just stopped asking. It happened so gradually I didn't notice, like standing in water that's slowly heating. By the time you realize you're boiling, it's too late. Year 2 to 3. The friendship purge I didn't realize was happening. It started with justifications. Good ones. "Babe, I'm really tired. Can we just stay in?" "Ethan, every Friday. I don't feel like going all the way to Manhattan tonight." "Ethan, whenever my friends suggested anything below 14th Street, why do you need to go to that? You see her all the time?" "Ethan, about friends I actually hadn't seen in weeks, and every time I had a choice, go anyway or stay. I started staying. Not because he asked me to, that's the thing. He never actually asked. He'd just be disappointed.
Wait.
"No, you should go," said in a tone that meant the opposite. And then I'd feel guilty for even wanting to go. So I wouldn't. Maya stopped texting as much. Then Jess. Then Rachel. The work happy hours I used to hit every few weeks. I went from regular to occasional to I'll try to make it to just not responding. And the fucked up part? I told myself it was me, that I was just becoming more of a homebody, that I didn't have the energy for going out anymore, that I was just prioritizing my relationship, which was healthy, right? That's what you do when you're building something serious. Year 3 to 4. The family holidays I started missing Thanksgiving. Year 3. "Babe, my mom really wants us at her place. She barely asks for anything. Can we do yours next year?" I said yes. My mom cried. I told her it was just this once. Christmas year 3, his family again. We did Thanksgiving with them, why not Christmas too? Make it easy. Easter year 4. It's not even a real holiday. Let's just have a quiet weekend. My brother's college graduation. You're really going to fly across the country for a ceremony? That's like 4 hours of sitting. You can just FaceTime. My dad, the 65th birthday. It's a weeknight, Em. You're going to take off work for a birthday? Every time I had excuses that sounded reasonable. But when I looked at the pattern, I hadn't seen my family in person in over a year. My mom stopped calling as much. Not because she was mad, because she'd learned that asking meant hearing another "I can't," and that hurt more than just not asking. Year 4. When we became me alone, waiting our life became this. Gives wake up. He goes to work. Gives I work from home. In silence, in our apartment, alone. Gives noon. I think about texting friends for lunch. Don't. 2. Last minute. Gives 3 p.m. I finish work. Have 3 hours before he's home. Gives I could go to the gym. Go for a walk. Go to that bookstore I like. Call my sister. Gives I do none of those things. Gives instead, I clean the apartment that doesn't need cleaning. Meal prep dinners, he'll pick at. Scroll Instagram, watching people live. Gives 6:30 p.m. He texts he'll be late. Gives 8:15 p.m. He gets home, tired, wants to decompress. Gives we watch TV. Don't really talk. Gives 10:30 p.m. Bed. He falls asleep in 4 minutes. Gives I stay awake until 2 a.m. staring at the ceiling, wondering when my life became so small. This was every day, every single day. And on weekends, he wanted to relax, which meant stay home, order in, watch movies, don't make plans. If I suggested something, want to go to that new exhibit at the Whitney, or there's a street fair in Fort Greene, he'd sigh. Can't we just have one weekend where we don't do anything? We didn't do anything every weekend, but pointing that out made me sound naggy, demanding, like I couldn't just be content being with him. So I stopped suggesting. And our weekends became him playing video games or watching sports. Me pretending to read, but actually just staring at the same page for 40 minutes. The worst part, when people are asked, what did you do this weekend? I'd say nothing much, just relaxed. Relaxed. It was a choice. Like my life hadn't shrunk to the size of our 850 square foot apartment. I was on a work Zoom team meeting. My boss mentioned the annual company retreat weekend in the Poconos. Optional, but encouraged. Emily, you're coming this year, right? You missed the last two? Had I? I genuinely didn't remember missing one, let alone two. I'll have to check. Check what? We're giving you 2 months' notice. Block it off now. Everyone was staring at me through their little Zoom squares. I felt my face flush. Yeah, okay. I'll be there. After the meeting, I sat at my dining table, office, entire life, and I Googled the dates of the past company retreats. I'd missed 3. Not 2. 3. Year 1. Ethan and I had just started dating. I'd said no because we'd planned a weekend trip to the Berkshires. He'd canceled that trip 2 days before because of work stress. Year 2. I'd said no because Ethan wasn't comfortable with me going away for a weekend with coworkers. Who goes on work trips for fun? He'd said. Year 3. I didn't even tell him about it. I just knew he wouldn't want me to go. So I made up an excuse to my boss about a family thing. And now, year 4. My boss had that edge in her voice that this is becoming a pattern tone. I opened my calendar, stared at the weekend, October 12th to 14th. Empty. Completely empty. But I could already feel it brewing, the conversation I'd have to have with Ethan, the tension, the you're going away without me, the way he'd make it seem like I was choosing work over us, and the shameful truth. Part of me was relieved to have an excuse to go, because it wasn't optional, it was work. I could blame work. That's what my life had become. Needing external force to give me permission to exist outside of him. My oldest friend from college, Becca, was getting married in Philadelphia. I was supposed to be a bridesmaid. It was a past tense, because 6 months earlier, Becca had called me. I need to talk to you about something. What's up? Silence. Long silence. I'm giving your bridesmaid spot to my cousin Rachel. My stomach dropped. What? Why? Because, her voice cracked. You've missed every single planning thing. The dress fitting, the bachelorette party, the shower. You said you'd come to all of them and then canceled last minute every time. I didn't cancel last minute, you did, every time. And I can't count on you. And that fucking kills me to say because you're one of my oldest friends. But you're not here anymore. I tried to speak. Nothing came out. Where did you go, Emily? Because I've been trying to reach you for 2 years and it's like you're a ghost. You're there, but you're not. And I'm tired of chasing someone who clearly doesn't want to be caught. Becca, that's not your boyfriend. It's your boyfriend, isn't it? My throat closed. I've never even met him. 4 years you've been together and I've never met him. Because every time we make plans, something comes up. And I'm not stupid. I see the pattern. It's not like that. Then what's it like? Because from where I'm standing, you disappeared the second you started dating him. And I miss you. I miss my friend. But I can't keep waiting for her to come back. We didn't talk after that. She sent me an invitation to the wedding. Guest of honor. Me. +1. Blank. I didn't go. Not because Ethan said I couldn't. He didn't have to say anything. I just couldn't face it. Couldn't face walking into a room full of people who'd watched me vanish. Couldn't face the questions, the pity. Becca got married last Saturday. I sent a gift. She sent a thank you text. Polite, distant. And that night I sat on the couch, our couch, my prison, and thought, when did I become someone people give up on? 3 days after Becca's wedding, I decided to go out. Just go out like a normal person. Didn't tell Ethan, didn't ask permission. He was working late anyway. I put on real clothes, jeans, a top that was an athleisure, actual earrings. Felt like a costume. Walked to this wine bar in Greenpoint I'd passed 1,000 times but never entered. Sat at the bar, ordered a glass of red. The bartender was friendly. First time here? Yeah, cool. You meeting someone? No, just me. She smiled. Love that. We need more women who go out solo. I smiled back, but inside I felt like a fraud because it wasn't some empowered woman having solo wine. I was someone whose life had shrunk so much that sitting alone at a bar felt like an act of rebellion. 20 minutes in, my phone buzzed. Ethan, where are you? My heart jumped. How did he know I wasn't home? Me, just out for a bit. Ethan, out where? Me, wine bar down the street. Ethan, why? Why? Not cool or have fun or want me to meet you? Just why? Because in his world, going out required justification, purpose. You didn't just go. Me, just felt like it. Ethan, that's random. You okay? Me, yeah, I'm fine. Ethan, okay, well, I'm home now. How long will you be? Looked at my half-finished glass of wine. At the bartender, chatting with another regular. At the couple next to me laughing about something. Me. Heading back, now I paid. Left. Walked home in the twilight, and I thought, I can't even sit at a bar for 30 minutes without feeling like I'm doing something wrong. When I got home, Ethan was on the couch, looked up. Hey, that was quick. Yeah, how was it? Fine, cool. Back to his phone. He didn't ask why I went, where exactly I was. If I had fun, just registered my absence, summoned me home, and moved on. And I realized something that made my hands shake. I hadn't gone out to have fun. I'd gone out to see if I still could, to test if I still existed outside these walls. And the answer was no, not really, not anymore. Month 51, 4 years, 3 months, email, 4:47 p.m. on a Wednesday. Subject: You're invited. Maya's baby shower. I stared at the screen. Maya, pregnant, having a baby shower. I didn't even know she was pregnant. How did I not know my friend was pregnant? I scrolled to the date, 3 weeks away. Saturday afternoon, Brooklyn. My chest felt tight. I opened Instagram, something I barely did anymore because watching everyone else live hurt too much. Scrolled to Maya's profile. There it was. Announcement post. 16 weeks ago. 16 weeks. 4 months. She'd been pregnant for 4 months, and I didn't know because I hadn't checked in. Hadn't responded to her last 3 texts. Hadn't been present. I scrolled through the comments. Jess, oh my God, so happy for you. Rachel, can't wait to meet baby girl. Names I recognized. Friends we'd all shared. Friends who apparently still talk to each other, just not to me. I clicked on the RSVP link. Filled out my name. Hovered over the number of guests, dropped down. 1 or 2. I should bring Ethan, right? That's what you do. Bring your partner to friend events. Except Ethan had never met Maya or Jess or Rachel. 4 years together, and he'd met exactly 0 of my friends. Because every time there was an opportunity, he'd find a reason not to go. I selected one, closed the laptop, stared at the wall, and something cracked, just a hairline fracture, but I felt it. A week later, I'd started seeing Dr. Park 3 months ago. After my company's HR rep gently suggested it during a check-in about work-life balance, I'd been missing deadlines, zoning out in meetings. Sandra had noticed I was not myself, so I'd found a therapist. Didn't tell Ethan. Told him I was going to the gym on Thursday afternoons. This session, doctor, Park asked her usual opening. What's been on your mind this week? My friend's having a baby shower. That's exciting. Yeah, silence. You don't sound excited? I picked up my nail. I didn't know she was pregnant. For 4 months. How did that feel? Finding out that way. Like I stopped. Swallowed. Like I'm a bad friend. Or, what? You said like I'm a bad friend, but I'm hearing something else underneath. Asterisk, asterisk, like maybe you're not actually a bad friend. Maybe you've been unavi-fumin. The word landed heavy. Emily, I've been seeing you for 3 months now. We've talked about work stress, family dynamics, your relationship. But we haven't really talked about you, about what you want, what you enjoy, who you spend time with outside of Ethan. I I have friends. When's the last time you saw them? I thought. Really thought. Maya, last summer. Brunch. That's almost a year ago. Yeah, I guess. And before that, I couldn't remember. Dr. Park leaned forward. Not aggressive, just present. Emily, do you think it's possible that you've been isolating yourself? I'm not isolating. Life is busy. Busy with what? The question hung there. With what? Work? I could do my job in 6 hours, but I stretched it to fill empty time. Ethan, he worked 12-hour days. Hobbies? I didn't have any anymore. Emily, I want you to try something. Close your eyes. I did. Think about a typical week. Monday through Sunday. How many hours do you spend with other people? Not Ethan. Other people, I counted. Work, Zoom meetings, maybe 6 hours total. Grocery store small talk, 30 minutes. That was it. That was my entire social interaction. 7 hours a week. And most of it was transactional. You can open your eyes. I did. They were wet. What just happened? Dr. Park asked gently. I just realized. My voice broke. I don't see anyone. I don't do anything. My entire life is work and waiting for Ethan to come home, and how does that feel? Like I'm disappearing. There it was. The thing I'd been avoiding saying. The truth sitting in my chest like a stone for months, maybe years. Emily, when someone isolates, it's usually not a conscious choice. It happens gradually. And often it happens because someone else's needs or comfort becomes more important than your own. You think Ethan is isolating me? I think you need to ask yourself, are you choosing this life? Or are you accommodating his preferences until your life became shaped entirely by his comfort? I couldn't answer because the answer was too big, too scary. That weekend, I went to Maya's baby shower alone, walked in, and immediately wanted to leave because everyone else there knew each other, were hugging, laughing, catching up. And I was the ghost, the one who used to be part of this but had become optional. Maya saw me. Her face lit up. Em, you came. She said it like she was surprised, like I'd become the friend you invite but don't expect to show. We hugged. She introduced me to people I didn't know, her new mom friends, her coworkers, her sister. I sat at a table with Jess and Rachel. They were warm but distant, like I was an acquaintance, not someone they'd once done drunk karaoke with in Catown. Rachel, how have you been? Feels like forever. Good. Busy, you know. How's... She paused. Clearly didn't remember his name. Your boyfriend? Ethan, he's good. He couldn't make it today? He had work stuff. Jess and Rachel exchanged a look. Quick. But I saw it. The conversation moved on. They had talked about trips they'd taken, restaurants they'd tried, a concert in Prospect Park. Wait, you guys went to that? I asked. Yeah, like 3 weeks ago. It was amazing. You should have come. I didn't know about it. Another look between them. We put it in the group chat, the one I'd muted 8 months ago because seeing plans I wouldn't attend felt worse than not seeing them at all. Oh, yeah, I've been bad at checking that. Jess smiled. Polite. No worries. But it wasn't no worries. It was worry. Worried that I'd become the flake, the one who doesn't show up, the one they stopped counting on. I stayed for an hour, left during the gift opening, drove home and sat in my car outside the apartment for 20 minutes because walking inside meant facing Ethan, meant acting like everything was fine, meant swallowing the screaming realization while I'd been making myself smaller to fit into his world. Everyone else had kept living, and they'd learned to live without me. That night, Ethan was on the couch, watching some documentary about World War II. How was the shower? It was good. Good. Eyes still on the screen, I sat down. Ethan, can I ask you something? He paused it, looked at me. Yeah, what's up? Why didn't you want to come today? I told you I had work. You didn't have work. It's Saturday. He looked uncomfortable. Okay, fine. I didn't want to go. Baby showers aren't really my thing. Okay. But it wasn't about you. It was about my friend. I know. And you went. So what's the problem? The problem is you never want to meet my friends. Ever. In 4 years, you've met like 2 people from my life. That's not true. It is true. Think about it, he thought. Couldn't name anyone. Okay, maybe I haven't met many. But, I'm not great with new people. It stresses me out. And you know that about me. Right, you're introverted. I get it. But your comfort has become more important than my friendships. That's not fair, isn't it, though? My voice was rising, not yelling, but firm. 4 years of firm finally breaking through. Every time there's an event, you find a reason not to go. And I stopped fighting you on it. So now people don't invite me anymore because they know I won't come. Because you won't come. I'm not stopping you from going. You don't have to actively stop me, Ethan. You just make it so uncomfortable that it's easier to stay home. And over 4 years, that's added up to me having no one. Silence. He looked like I'd slapped him. I don't have friends anymore, I said, quieter now. Not real ones, because I've canceled on them so many times for you. And today I sat at a baby shower with women I used to be close to, and they treated me like a stranger, because that's what I've become. If you want to see your friends more, just go. I'm not stopping you, but you are. Every time you sigh when I make plans. Every time you ask how long I'll be. Every time you're not in the mood for anything that involves other people. I've absorbed all of that. And I've shrunk my life to fit yours. I never asked you to do that. You didn't have to ask. You just had to be disappointed enough times that I stopped trying. We stared at each other. Emily, I don't know what you want from me, and that was the thing. He genuinely didn't know, because to him this was normal. His discomfort was valid and my needs were negotiable. I want you to want to be part of my life. Not just the part that happens in this apartment, the whole thing, my friends, my family, my world. I'm part of your life. No, Ethan, I'm part of yours. And I've disappeared into it. 3 days later, we had the talk, the real one, the one I'd been avoiding for months because I knew what it would reveal. I told him everything. The isolation, the loneliness, the feeling of disappearing. He listened. To his credit, he really listened. And then he said the thing I'd been both hoping for and dreading. I'll change. I'll try harder. I don't want you to feel this way. I wanted to believe him so badly. What does trying harder look like? I asked. I'll go to things with you. Meet your friends. Make more effort. Okay. We made a plan. He'd come to dinner with my college friends next month. We'd host a game night and invite people. He'd come to my company holiday party. He didn't do any of it. The dinner with college friends. I'm not feeling well. You should still go, though I didn't go. Because going alone after promising he'd be there felt worse than not going at all. The game night, we planned it. I invited people. 4 days before, he said, "Babe, I've been thinking, is this really a good idea? Our apartment is pretty small for hosting. We canceled the holiday party. Office parties are so awkward. Do I have to?" He said it like a kid asking to skip vegetables. I went alone. Spent the whole time explaining why my boyfriend of 4 years wasn't there. Again, month 54, 4 years. 6 months I was in Dr. Parker's office, crying. Again, he said he'd change. He promised, and has he? No. But he says he's trying. What does trying look like? He says he'll do things, and then finds reasons not to. Emily, I need to ask you something, and I need you to really think about it before answering. I nodded. Do you think he wants to change? Or do you think he wants you to stop asking him to change? The question sat between us like a bomb, because the answer was obvious. He didn't want to change. He wanted me to accept him as is. And accepting him as is meant accepting a life where I existed in isolation, where my needs were perpetually secondary, where I disappeared a little more each day. What if I've already wasted 4 years? I whispered. What if you have 50 more years ahead of you? Does that change the math? It did. It really fucking did. The small choices that built a new self, I didn't leave him that day, or that week, or even that month, because leaving felt impossible. We lived together, shared everything, had built a life, even if that life was suffocating me. But I started making small choices, tiny ones, that felt huge. Choice number 1. I went to Maya's without asking. She'd invited me to brunch with her new mom group. I hadn't seen her since the shower. Ethan was home, watching TV. I'm going to meet Maya now? I thought we were hanging out today. Old me would have canceled, would have said, oh, I didn't realize. Let me reschedule. New me. We've been hanging out all morning. I'll be back in 2 hours. His face did that thing. The disappointed, slightly hurt expression. I grabbed my keys, left anyway. My hands shook the entire drive, but I went. Brunch was good. I was awkward at first, like I'd forgotten how to be around people, but Maya was kind, introduced me to everyone, included me in conversations. One of her friends asked, what do you like to do? I opened my mouth and realized I didn't know. I had no idea what I liked anymore. I'm figuring that out, I said. And I meant it. Choice number 2. I unmuted the group chat. Jess had posted dinner at Lilia Friday. Who's in? 4 people responded immediately. I typed, I'm in. Hit send before I could overthink. Rachel, oh my God, Emily, yes. Jess, it's been so long. Their excitement felt like grief because it showed me how much they'd missed me and how much I'd made them learn to miss me. Friday came. Ethan did his thing. You're going out again? We just had dinner plans last week. That was 6 days ago. But I wanted us to watch that new show tonight. Old me would have said, we can watch it tomorrow. New me, you can start without me. I'll catch up, I went. And for 3 hours, I remembered what it felt like to laugh. Really laugh. The kind that makes your cheeks hurt. On the drive home, I cried, not sad tears, relief tears, because I'd forgotten I was capable of joy outside of those 4 walls. Choice number 3. I signed up for a pottery class random, but I'd always wanted to try. Didn't tell Ethan until after I'd paid. A pottery class? When? Tuesdays, 6 to 8. But that's dinner time. You can make dinner. Or order. Adults feed themselves. He looked shocked. Not angry, just confused. Like I'd suddenly started speaking a different language. The language was, am allowed to want things. First class was terrible. I made a lopsided bowl that collapsed, but I loved it. Loved having something that was mine. Loved being bad at something without it meaning anything. Loved being in a room with strangers who didn't know me as Ethan's girlfriend, Emily Hootie. Emily the ghost. Just Emily. Making shitty pottery. Smiling. My mom called Thanksgiving. You're coming, right? And for the first time in years, I didn't hesitate. Yes. Really? Really? And Ethan? Just me. Silence. Then, okay, honey, we'll be happy to have you. I could hear it in her voice. The surprise, the relief, the grief that had gotten to this point. When I hung up, Ethan was standing in the doorway. You're going to Boston without me? Yes, but it's Thanksgiving. We're supposed to spend it together. We can spend it with my family, together. I already told my mom. We'd then go to your mom's. I'm going to mine. He looked stunned. You're just going? Without even discussing it? And I realized for 4 years discussing it had meant him stating his preference and me adjusting mine. Ethan, I've missed every major family event for 4 years. Every single one. Because you didn't want to go. And I let your discomfort dictate my choices. But I'm done. I'm going. You can come or not. But I'm gone. He didn't come. Thanksgiving in Boston. I walked into my parents' house and my mom hugged me and didn't let go for a full minute. I missed you, she whispered. I missed you so much. And I realized they hadn't just missed me at events. They'd missed me. The whole me. The version that had been slowly erased. That night, lying in my childhood bedroom, I made a decision. I was done disappearing. I broke up with Ethan 2 weeks after Thanksgiving. It wasn't dramatic. No big fight, just clarity. We're on the couch. Our usual spot. Watching TV we weren't really watching. And I said, I can't do this anymore. He muted it. Do what? This. Us. I can't be in a relationship where I have to disappear to make you comfortable. And we've talked about this. I'm working on it. You're not working on it. You're managing me, saying what I need to hear so I stop asking for things. That's not fair, isn't it? Name one thing that's actually changed. He couldn't. I love you, he said, and I believed him, but I love you in a way that makes me disappear. And I can't do that anymore, he cried. I cried. It was awful. But I didn't take it back. We stayed in the apartment together for 3 more weeks while I found a place. 3 weeks of awkward silence and sleeping in separate rooms and the slow dismantling of a shared life. I moved out on a Saturday. My college friends, Maya, Jess, Rachel, all showed up to help. Rachel looked around the new studio in Bed-Stuy. It's small, I know, but it's yours. Yeah, I smiled. Felt it reach my eyes for the first time in years. It's mine. I thought I'd feel free immediately. I didn't. I felt terrified because for 4 years my entire life had been built around him. And without him, I had to figure out who I was, and I didn't know. I'd go to the grocery store and stand in front of produce, frozen. What did I like? I'd been buying food he liked for so long I couldn't remember what I wanted. I'd come home to my empty studio and the silence was loud. No one to report my day to. No one's mood to manage. No one's needs to anticipate. Just me. And I didn't know her anymore. Dr. Park, you're grieving. Not just the relationship. You're grieving the person you became in it. And that's okay. I cried a lot those first months. Sometimes because I missed him. Mostly because I missed time I couldn't get back. But slowly, I started finding pieces of myself. I started saying yes. Pottery class led to a ceramics open studio where I met Kate, who invited me to her book club. Where I met Simone, who invited me to her running group. I went to Rachel's birthday party, Jess's housewarming, Maya's baby's first birthday. I showed up and kept showing up, and people noticed. Maya said one night over wine in her kitchen while her baby slept, "You're different." How? You're here, like actually here. Not like before where you were physically present, but somewhere else in your head. She was right. I started calling my family. Weekly. Not out of obligation, because I wanted to. My dad cried on one call. I feel like I got my daughter back. I also started dating. Disaster! First date. Post-Ethan. I overshared, cried in the bathroom. Left after 30 minutes. Second date. Got so anxious I canceled an hour before. Third date. Actually went. It was fine. He was nice. We had nothing in common. 10th date, different guy. He asked what I did for fun, and I had an answer. Pottery, running, book club, brunch with friends, visiting my parents, an actual answer. Because I had an actual life. His name was Marcus. Met him at a friend's rooftop party. We talked for 2 hours. About art, about the city, about our families. He asked for my number. We went on 3 dates before I told him about Ethan, about the isolation, the disappearing. He listened, really listened, then said, "Thank you for telling me." That sounds really hard. He didn't try to fix it or minimize it, just held space for it. We've been seeing each other for 3 months now. And here's what's different. He wants to meet my friends. Actually wants to. Has met Maya, Jess, Rachel. They like him. I like that they like him. He plans things, takes initiative, doesn't wait for me to do all the emotional labor. When I say I have plans, he says, "Have fun." No guilt, no questions, no disappointment. But the most important thing, I don't need him. I like him a lot, but my life doesn't hinge on him because I built a life first, and he fits into it, not the other way around. I had brunch with my friends this morning, 5 of us, laughing so loud the table next to us gave us looks. This afternoon, I'm seeing my parents, just because. Tonight, pottery class. Tomorrow, a date with Marcus. My calendar is full, not with obligations, with life. And last week, something happened that made me realize how far I've come. I got an invitation to a wedding. A coworker I'm friendly with but not super close to. And my first thought wasn't, I should probably skip this or I need to check with. My first thought was, I wonder if they'll have a photo booth. I love photo booths. Such a small thing, but huge. Because the person who thinks about photo booths at weddings, she's someone who exists, who takes up space, who doesn't apologize for wanting things. She's me, the me I lost, and the me I'm still becoming. I'm not perfect. I still have days where I isolate, where I fall into old patterns, where I overthink plans or feel guilty for having fun. But now I see it happening, and I can course correct. Because I learned something these past 11 months. The opposite of disappearing isn't being seen. It's seeing yourself. If you're listening to this and thinking about your own life, about the invitations you've declined, the friends you've lost touch with, the parts of yourself that have gone quiet, I need you to hear this. You're not being dramatic. You're not overreacting. And you're not asking for too much if you've noticed that your world has gotten smaller. If you've started saying, I'll check with him before committing to anything. If your friends have stopped reaching out. If your family has learned not to expect you, that's not love. That's erasure. And I know what you're thinking, because I thought it too. But he's not abusive. He doesn't yell. He doesn't control me. He just prefers staying in. He's just introverted. He's just more comfortable with it being us. And maybe that's all true. But comfortable for who? Because if you've disappeared to make him comfortable, then his comfort came at the cost of your existence. And that's not partnership. That's not love. That's you paying rent on your own life with pieces of yourself. I'm not going to tell you to leave. Only you know your story, your context, your limitations. But I'm going to ask you to notice. Notice how often you change your plans for his mood. Notice how long it's been since you saw your friends. Notice how small your world has become. And then ask yourself, is this the life I want? Or is this the life I've accepted because wanting more felt selfish? You're allowed to want more. You're allowed to have friends. You're allowed to take up space outside your relationship. You're allowed to exist loudly, visibly, unapologetically. And if someone loves you, they'll want that for you too. They'll encourage it. They'll be part of it. They won't make you choose between them and the rest of your life. I disappeared for 4 years. 4 years of missed birthdays, declined invitations, canceled plans, and quiet erasure. And the saddest part? No one forced me. He never said you can't go. He just made it painful enough that I stopped trying. But here's what I learned. You can come back. It won't be easy. People might be hesitant. They've learned not to count on you. You'll have to show up consistently, rebuild trust, prove you're not a ghost anymore, but you can come back. That woman you used to be, the one who laughed loud, who said yes to adventures, who had opinions and preferences, and a life that extended beyond 4 walls, she's not gone. She's just been quiet. And she's waiting for you to give her permission to exist again. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need to leave tomorrow. You don't need to burn everything down. You just need to start small. Say yes to one invitation. Make plans without asking permission. Go to that class you've been thinking about. Call that friend you've been avoiding because you're ashamed of how long it's been. Choose yourself just once. And then again and again, because every time you choose yourself, you're saying, I matter. My needs matter. My friendships matter. My existence matters. And it does. You do, even if no one's invited you in months, even if you've become the flake, even if you've lost touch with everyone. You still matter. You still deserve a life that's bigger than his comfort zone. You're allowed to take up space. You're allowed to be loud. You're allowed to be inconvenient. You're allowed to exist outside of him. And if he can't handle that, he's not your person. Your person will want you to have friends. Will push you toward them, not away. We'll meet them. We'll be part of your world, not the wall around it. I thought I was lucky to have someone who wanted me all to himself. Turns out I was just lonely. But I'm not anymore, and you don't have to be either. Welcome back to the world. We've been waiting for you. We've missed you. And we're so glad you're finally ready to be seen again.